Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to the attic. It seems there's been some new light flashing down from the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, this time pertaining to the hailstone message. It is no more, to put it simply. There has been a question from readers in the latest Watchtower study article addressing this. Before we go into that, and I'm going to go into it as quickly as I can, because I don't want to bore you all, I thought I would just summarize what the hailstone message was or used to be before it got dispensed with. So this is from the book Pure Worship of Jehovah. Do I have that on my shelf? Yes, I do. So I'm quoting now from this particular publication on page 198, paragraph 19. It says, sometime after false religion is devastated, Jehovah may well have his people deliver a hard-hitting message, one that the book of Revelation likens to a hailstorm in which each hailstone weighs about 45 pounds or 20 kilos. This message, possibly a declaration that the political and commercial system is about to end, torments the hearers to such a degree that they blaspheme God. Likely it is this message that provokes the nations into making an all-out assault on God's people, to silence us once and for all. They will think that we are defenseless, an easy target to destroy. What a mistake that will be. So that's now old light. I mean, this book published when? In 2018, and it's already old light. And I hope you noticed as well the wording. This is typical kind of hedging on the part of the organization. Whenever they know they are speaking utter nonsense, whenever they know they're saying something that could easily be proven to be untrue with the passage of time, they say things like, Jehovah may well have his people deliver a hard-hitting message. And then later on, this message, possibly a declaration that the political and commercial system is about to end. And then further on, likely it is this message that provokes the nations. All words that they're using to make the statement as vague as possible. In other words, they don't have a clue. They're just making it up as they go along. And it turned out that even they did indeed back away from this teaching, this idea that just before the end comes, the preaching of the good news is going to end, and instead there's going to be a hailstone message that amounts to, I told you so. I told you so, or we told you so. You're all doomed. You're all going to die. You should have listened to us. That was essentially what the hailstone message was. Well, now they've quietly done away with it, and it's in the August 2025 Watchtower on page 31. I'll show you briefly what the top of the page looks like. I'm not going to be showing you each and every sentence that I read from. I'm just going to skim through it quickly just to give you the gist. But it reads, when will the current preaching work end? Jesus stated, this good news of the kingdom will be preached in all the inhabited earth for a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. The Greek word translated end in this verse, as well as in verses 6 and 13, is telos. It refers to the final end of Satan's world at Armageddon. Thus, we will continue to preach the good news until just before that final end. This adjusts our earlier understanding. Previously, we understood that we would stop preaching the good news when the Great Tribulation began with the destruction of Babylon the Great. We also felt that those who would survive the Great Tribulation would prove their devotion to Jehovah before that event, we compared them to the Jews who survived the destruction of Jerusalem in 607 BCE. That comparison, however, does not harmonize with Jesus' words found at Matthew 24, verse 14, which indicate that people may have the opportunity to respond to the good news until just before the final end at Armageddon. Our clarified understanding of Matthew 24, verse 14 also adjusts our understanding of the hailstone-like message foretold at Revelation 16, verse 21. So what's happened here is there's been a knock-on effect of the new light that was announced at the 2023 annual meeting, where they changed their minds. They said, we used to think that it would be impossible to do it like a last-minute repentance and a last-minute conversion to Jehovah's Witnesses after the Great Tribulation starts. Now we think that that actually is possible. We think people will realize after the Great Tribulation starts, after false religion is destroyed, that Jehovah's Witnesses were right all along, and they'll get one last chance to join us before they're destroyed at Armageddon. Well, you can't really have that teaching and the hailstone message teaching, can you? Because if people still have an opportunity to join the organization, to become Jehovah's Witnesses right at the last minute, and at the same time Jehovah's Witnesses are basically preaching, it's too late for you all, we tried warning you, you should have listened to us, hate to say we told you so, that kind of thing. The two are contradictory, so they've had to... It's taken them a while, by the way, hasn't it? Because now here we are in 2025. It's taken them for a while to realize that those two teachings are not in agreement with each other. The article continues, the answer lies in how people respond to the kingdom message. To those who are being saved, wrote the Apostle Paul, the message is good news, a fragrance of life, but to God's enemies it is bad news, an odor of death. They hate the kingdom message because it exposes their world for what it is, wicked, ruled by Satan, and headed for destruction. Note too that the symbolic hailstorm will be unusually great. This suggests that during the Great Tribulation, the preaching work may become more hard-hitting. That is, Jehovah's name will be made known as never before. Even more hard-hitting than it is now, it would seem. And the article concludes, any who turn to Jehovah after the destruction of Babylon the Great will have the privilege of doing good to Christ's brothers who will still be on the earth. Of course, that opportunity to be judged as sheep will end shortly before Armageddon, when the remaining anointed ones receive their heavenly reward. This clarified understanding powerfully illustrates Jehovah's great love and mercy. Yes, he does not desire anyone to be destroyed, but desires all to attain to repentance. Well, he certainly does desire billions of people to be destroyed, which will be the case at Armageddon, when the vast majority of Earth's population don't become Jehovah's Witnesses right at the last minute. As it says there, of course, that opportunity to be judged as sheep will end shortly before Armageddon, when the remaining anointed ones receive their heavenly reward. So the clock is very much still ticking. Nothing's changed in that regard. It's just that since 2023, the organization has changed its mind and said, you know what, we're going to allow right up until Armageddon for people to decide for themselves whether they want to rejoin. And having made that decision back in 2023, they've now realized that the hailstone message, this message of it's too late, you're all doomed, isn't entirely conducive with this new light that they had back in 2023. So that's how I'm seeing things. Ultimately, it amounts to hair splitting. It's making up all sorts of excuses to try and make their disjointed theology make sense. And isn't it interesting that the Pure Worship book, released as recently as 2018, is already old light? Almost as though it were a man-made organization just making it up as it goes along. Anyway, that's all I really have to say on this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lloyd Evans channel for more such videos. And as always, thank you for watching.